Congressman Jack Murtha of Pennsylvania triggered a firestorm when he called the war in Iraq, and I'm quoting now, a flawed policy wrapped in illusion. That was back in November of 2005. Now the House is set to debate a non-binding resolution opposing the sending of more U.S. troops to Iraq. Congressman Murtha is joining us now live from Capitol Hill. Congressman, thanks very much for coming in. A lot of critics of the war are saying, is this the best that a Democratic House of Representatives can do, a non-binding resolution? Why not something that has a little bit more teeth to it?
Well, I think the public spoke, as you know, Wolf, and we've talked about this before in the election itself. I think this is the first step. The first step is say to the president, Mr. President, Republicans and Democrats are against the escalation. Then the next step is the supplemental appropriation, which means something. It's the money that goes to the people serving in Iraq. It's the money that goes to the troops. Now, we're not going to cut off any money to the troops. We're going to make sure the money is, every cent is justified. We're going to make sure that the troops don't get sent in without the training, without the equipment that they need. We're going to make sure they don't get in Guantanamo. We're looking at bulldozing Abu Ghraib. We're looking at a number of things. No permanent bases, no torture, those kind of things in the supplemental. That's a substantive vote, and that's the next thing that will come up. And we're having substantial hearings on readiness for the troops in the United States, and we're building a case to do that. I don't think anybody wants to send the troops back into Iraq without their proper training, without their proper equipment, and that's what they'll have to vote on March 15th or 16th.
And so this vote that you're going to go forward, you believe you have enough votes in the House of Representatives to pass this resolution, a non-binding resolution opposing the introduction of more troops into Iraq?
I think so. And what we found is you can't win this militarily. They can't, if they're going to have an escalation, well, from all the principles of war, you should have it all at once. You send in 20,000 troops all at once. When you send them in piecemeal, why do we have to send them in piecemeal? Because we don't have the troops to send in all at once. So we had to send them in brigade at a time, month at a time. That's the worst way to have an escalation. But the point is, an escalation just doesn't work. Every surge has not worked before, and I'm afraid it just puts more troops in harm's way. What we need to do is redeploy. We need stability in the Middle East. We need to get our allies involved. We need a diplomatic solution. Now, what we found, we went to Iraq not long ago, and we talked about this. We found that the Sunnis won't negotiate with the Shias and vice versa. The Shias have to come up with a way to satisfy some of the Sunnis, or we won't be able to solve this problem. That's what we're working on now, some sort of a diplomatic solution, because they can't win it militarily. It has to be done by the Iraqis.
As you know, Democratic Senator Barack Obama, who's running for the Democratic presidential nomination, he says he would like all U.S. combat forces out of Iraq by March of next year. He'd like to see that withdrawal start in May of this year. Over the weekend, Australian Prime Minister John Howard really lashed out at this idea and lashed out personally at Barack Obama. Listen to what he said.
I think he's wrong. If I were running Al-Qaeda in Iraq, I would put a circle around March 2008 and pray as many times as possible for a victory, not only for Obama, but also for the Democrats.
All right. Not only is John Howard taking on Barack Obama, he's seemingly taking on you as well, because your attitude, your policy is not all that different than Barack Obama's.
Well, that's exactly right, but that's easy for somebody to say that hasn't really participated heavily in the deployment. The American people are paying $8.4 billion a month. Our troops are being in harm's way every day. Now, the Australians are one of our best allies, but for him to say something like this when this is a policy decision, a policy difference with the President of the United States, is uncalled for. He's trying to interfere in our election, and that's something that shouldn't happen. We appreciate the help of the Australians, but they haven't done anything compared to what the United States forces have done. Our troops are in harm's way because of the policy. We differ with the policy of the President of the United States. We want our troops to come home. We think redeployment is the first step to stability. We all want stability in the Middle East.
Well, what about Congressman when he says this would be a bonanza, this would be a gift for Al-Qaeda, what you and other Democrats are recommending? What do you say to him when he says Al-Qaeda should just mark the calendar and wait for that date?
I'll tell you, they'll rue the day when the United States get out of there, because the Iraqis know who they are and they'll get rid of them. I am absolutely convinced they know the tribes, they know the geography. The Iraqis know who the Al-Qaeda are. It's just that we obviously provide the incentive to recruit Al-Qaeda. Iran wants us in there, and Al-Qaeda wants us in there. The minute we're gone, they'll take care of Al-Qaeda by themselves. Al-Qaeda will not even be a factor in Iraq once the United States is gone.
All right, John Murtha, congressman from Pennsylvania, Democrat, thanks very much for coming in.
Good talking to you, Wolf.